fresh, but I keep the focus. I ain't above the occasional jewels around my neck, but people notice. I aim to touch those who aim to prove without the stress and hardship, building characters.
All right, Kojo.
Mr. Jim FRIMPSON.
Yeah, how are you?
Good to see you.
Yeah. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you.
I'm really happy,
Definitely.
Sometimes it's really hard to get you guys, but I'm so happy that,
Yeah.
you made it
For sure.
today.
For sure.
Yeah. So, today I'm going to interview Kojo. Kojo is a very good guy. He's in the Twin Cities, African American. Actually, you Ghanaians, you have to know that, he's half Ghanaian, half American. He's proud of where he comes from. He's a Ghanaian. He was born here. His parents, half American, half Ghanaian. So he is so proud of his, heritage. And I'm so happy to meet him at the studio to ask him some few questions about his music. So Kojo, I just want to find out from you. I've seen a lot of your music on YouTube, right?
Yes.
And sometimes I feel like, I need to talk to you just to find out, because you've been doing this for a long time, and I think I have to showcase you for the community to know.
Which is appreciated,
you,
by the way.
to know
very
you.
appreciated.
Well, so, what kind of, are you hip hop or any kind of, can you let the audience know exactly what you do?
Yes, it would be considered hip hop.
Hip hop, okay.
Lack of more description. Hip hop, definitely hip hop. Rap is said by an old school, very respected hip hop artist from the 80s named KRS-One. Rap is something you do, and hip hop is something that you live, right? So rap is one of the many elements of hip hop. Hip hop is the all-encompassing art of it. So I consider what I do to be hip hop, being that I produce my own instrumentals, my own beats, make my own production, and I rap on top of that production, right? And I do a couple of other things too, in terms of shooting videos for the songs that I do, editing those videos, etc., etc. I own my own production company that I produce everything under. And that's my imprint.
So you have your own production company.
Yes.
And you produce your own.
I solely operate it, and so I don't have any employees. I'm the only person that operates under that imprint, but I do everything under that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And then how long have you been doing this?
Oh, I've been around for a long time, and I've been
because I've seen a lot of your videos on YouTube, so I know you've been around for a long time. But
well, I say I've been around for a long time. I mean, me, the person, has been around for a long time.
But how long have you been making music?
More than half of that time that I've been around. So, almost 25 years.
Almost 25 years, yeah.
I started in 2000 when I was 16.
Yeah, because I remember, I think that was about 4 years ago. I saw your T-shirt.
Okay.
And then I think I ordered one.
You did order one, yeah.
I did order one.
Hoodies. Yes.
The hoodies, yeah.
Yep. So that
even I think I still have it,
Okay, yeah. I remember it was a black and gold one.
Black and gold.
Yeah.
I was at a Walmart some time ago trying to buy something, and a lady came to me and said, "Oh, who is this guy?" And then I said, "Kojo or Reed." And she said, "Oh yeah, I think I saw him on YouTube sometime."
So she knows. It's making its rounds.
Yeah,
man. So 2000 is when I started. I was 16. I just moved to Minnesota actually, and I didn't start doing things professionally to the degree that I've, at least to the point that I've gotten now, as far as performing at shows, constantly doing, outputting music, making videos, making actual original self-produced albums. But, I started off like any 16-year-old would, where, you don't necessarily have the right equipment. You might have a $10 computer mic from Best Buy that you plug directly in, grab a stocking cap and put it around the hanger and use it as one of these and, make do with what you have. But that's similar to I imagine how anybody's journey started back, at least in the early 2000s. Now it's a little easier to access studio equipment and whatnot, but I just went through, you know, those stages of not really knowing what I was doing and, you know, rapping over popular instrumentals on records as opposed to the digital, having the digital versatility that we have now, and learning things over the years. You know, getting better at rapping, and then 5 years later, excuse me, learning to make beats and doing everything in my room essentially, and not really putting my music out there to get the exposure that I wanted to, or at least that I wanted to start getting. And then finally, I mean, ironically enough, when I was in my 30s, I actually started performing. And so that's when I introduced myself to other musicians in Minnesota and started going to shows and observing how people conduct themselves at open mics and showcases and actual headliner shows and that type of thing. And I started working through being able to do that. These days I don't perform as much just because of the fact that now I'm really putting together more and more material to be able to make sense of doing that. But I'm constantly working on something. So if I'm not editing a video or shooting a video, I'm making songs. If I'm not doing that, I'm working on cover art. If I'm not doing that, I'm making new beats. You know, I have a home studio and I'm in there every night, believe it or not.
So you said you started at the age of 16. Wow, I'm wondering, what inspired you to do this?
Honestly, I became a hip hop fan when I was, as far as in depth, because, you know, I grew up, I'm going to sound like everybody else, but I grew up in a house where I had an older brother who had drawers full of tapes and was always playing something on the radio. So I would always hear it peripherally. And I was familiar with, you know, your insert hip hop legends here, but I didn't actually become interested and fully invested in it as a listener until I was about 14. And then as I would continue to listen to more and more and gain more and more of a liking of what I would hear through the years, I just determined that I wanted to be part of it, because, and I always tell it in the manner of having listened to people like Lil Wayne, right? Because Lil Wayne, in the early 2000s, he was part of a group called the Hot Boys from New Orleans, on Cash Money Records, a label called Cash Money Records. And it was listening to the artists of that day and artists like him, especially because he was so close to my age, that it made it more of a realistic, you know, possibility. It made it more of a realistic endeavor to know, well, you know, somebody this close to my age is doing it, I can do this too, you know. And I'm not saying that Lil Wayne is a person that made me start rapping, but he was one of the many that would make music that I would listen to, that I would like so much that it made me want to do it. And so I just chalk it up to having liked this art so much that I didn't really see a use for it to be a consumer anymore. I had to give back to it. I had to create and give back to it and contribute to it.
Oh, you know? Wow. Oh, that's really amazing.
Yeah.
It's really amazing.
Yeah, it's
starting at the age of young like that, and then, you know, doing something that you like.
Yeah, and the funny thing about that is that, you know, when you're a certain age, you think, you know, you don't really envision what you're going to be doing with that at 40 years old, you know. When you're 16, 40 seems ancient. You know, anybody that is around you who's even between the ages of 30 and 35, maybe a teacher that you have at school, or, you know, some older person that's not your peer, you think that they're a dinosaur. But then, so you think about it in terms of, oh, well, you know, 40 is definitely old for a rapper, especially because of the fact that at that time, hip hop was obviously 25 years younger than it is now, right? So it hadn't been around but for 27 years, at least, as they officially deem it, having been around since 1973. So the thought of a rapper who was over 30 was not unheard of, but if you were 30 and you were a rapper, you almost I mean, you were very susceptible to getting made fun of because you were deemed too old to be in the game, as they say. But now, a 30-year-old rapper is very commonplace.
Oh yeah,
A
30 years,
40-year-old
even
rapper.
40. 40 is, I can see 50-year-old guys, in it. So I don't think 30, 40 is, old at all.
I mean, the guys that I grew up... Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say the guys I grew up on, that specifically the guys I was listening to at that time, some of them are in their mid-50s now. I mean, Jay-Z's 55,
yeah.
Nas is 51. Lil Wayne, I just mentioned Lil Wayne. He's like 42.
42, yeah.
So as the genre gets older, hip-hop is a very young genre of music. But as the genre itself gets older, that age ceiling increases higher and higher. You still have some people who will poke fun at people who are, out of their 20s and rapping, but for the most part, it's not really taboo anymore.
Yeah. Wow. So how would they actually find some of your music? Is it on YouTube, or you have specific website or whatever it is that people can,
I would prefer if you would all go to kpwhiphop.com because everything is there.
KPW
hiphop.com.
Okay.
But
that's your website.
That's my
right?
website, yes.
Yeah, okay.
But KPW is the stage name, by the way. It's just my initials. But it doubles as knowledge, power, wisdom. But it's really originates from being my government name, KPW. But the website is essentially a one-stop shop. So that's where you can go to find my album. My newest album is called No Dogma, and that's on my homepage.
No Dogma.
No Dogma.
Okay. Wow.
So that's on the homepage. So if you click on the image, it'll take you to all the different streaming platform links where you can get it. And to segue into that, streaming platforms, you can find my music on every single one of those. YouTube as well. And then in terms of anything else on the website, I've got, media links as far as, people who have reviewed albums in the past, merch. You were talking about the hoodies before. I've got a tab with those.
Oh, you still have some of the hoodies then? Right?
Yes, I'm not as active with making them anymore, but they're still available to order.
Oh, so you have some in stock right now? Oh, okay.
So that's on the merch tab.
Oh.
Yeah. So either if somebody wants to, navigate there as a one-stop shop and check everything out that I have there, or if you want to just search me on streaming platforms, KPW, it'll pull me right up. I think my Apple Music picture is me with a mask on during COVID or something. I probably have to update that. But also, all social media, KPW Hip Hop is the handle.
Oh, okay.
Across the board.
So all the social media handles, right?
Absolutely.
Instagram,
Instagram, Facebook, X. We call it Twitter.
X. Are you on X, right?
I don't use it, but I'm
you don't
on
use
there.
it, but
I'm on there.
Anyway, it's
And
fine.
then
I mean,
TikTok too.
Oh, you are on TikTok.
I don't really use it though. I haven't posted on TikTok for a while.
Yeah.
Instagram is where I'm most active.
Oh,
Instagram. And
yeah, because I think I saw you on Instagram. The first time I saw your music was on Instagram. Yeah,
I try to. I post most on there as far as all the social media platforms.
Yeah,
Facebook, I'll use here and there if I have something to promote, but I'm not one of those people who just makes random posts on Facebook about how wings are better when they're flats than when they're drums. Or, name 6 rappers, one gotta go. Nah, I don't do that.
Oh wow,
it's strictly business.
Wow,
yeah,
wow, that's good. Hey folks, I'm here with Kojo Wallace Reid. He is cool guy. If you want to, listen to his music, check him out on Instagram. I think you should be able to find some of his music out there. And then, Kojo, let me ask you, what do you want your community to know about hip hop? Or what do you want them to know about you? The youth in America to know, or those in Africa. What do you want them to know about you? What do you want them to learn from you? What are the things that you feel like, you want them to learn that will benefit them mostly from what we are doing?
Well, I can say that hip hop, first and foremost, hip hop artists are not a monolith. And when we talk about people from around the world, or perhaps people from, outside of hip hop culture, we just had the Grammys on Sunday. Somebody who watches that award show, or for example, somebody who watches the Super Bowl coming up on Sunday, might look at the fact that, say, a Kendrick Lamar is performing and get one perception of what hip hop is, or have a preconceived notion of what it is, and immediately dismiss the idea or the possibility of watching a halftime show because they have this negative perception, or wonder why he or whoever else won a Grammy for an album or a song because they have a negative perception and they think that hip hop is just this one thing, right? So what I would want people from outside of hip hop culture, or somebody from another country who's not familiar with it, to understand about it is that first and foremost, it's not a monolith. It's not the stereotypical images that somebody from some other part of the world might perceive it to be, that it might get portrayed as by people who don't have good intentions for it. There are different categories of hip hop. There are images in hip hop that might get popularized or stereotyped by corporations because the angle is that sells, but it doesn't have to be that. There are hip hop artists who are very intelligent and who spread intelligent messages.
I mean, hip hop is a language. What should I say? It's a language. It speaks from the heart.
Absolutely.
If you listen to hip hop, if you pay attention to the language, it's like it speaks it comes out like whoever is performing, you can see what a person is portraying, wanted everybody to know about what is going on, right?
I think that's accurate.
Yeah. So to me, I love it. I love this guy. What is his name? Notorious B.I.G.
Yeah.
I like his. That guy is got a long time, but still, anytime I want to play any music, I know that's the music I play.
James likes Biggie.
Yeah.
Oh
Biggie.
man.
Yeah. To be honest, I'm not hiding it. I really love it.
Yeah.
So it's something that it speaks to your mind. If you listen to it, you could feel it, and then accept the language coming from it. The words that coming from it, you could see. If you listen to it, there are some people who think any hip hop artist is radical. That's what a lot of people think.
When you say radical, it could mean a couple of different things. America's interpretation of a radical might mean, revolutionary. Or,
That is what some people think. People think like, look at some of our brothers who, like Notorious B.I.G., right? If you listen to his music, those who haven't, who doesn't relate to that kind of music, they take a different.
Yeah, they have one.
They have different stereotype. That's
Yeah.
what I'm just trying to say. So
radical is not. I don't think radical is necessarily a bad thing though. In the way that I understand it, you might be describing it differently with the word radical. But when I think radical, I think radical as they say, as they label it. I think Public Enemy, NWA, Dead Prez, those types of artists, Immortal Technique, Lupe Fiasco at a certain point, people who Kanye West in his early career, and in some cases now, depending on what day it is, but people who speak out against establishment, anti-establishment.
That is what I'm just trying to say, because if you speak against establishment, they consider you to be, the way they consider you to be, maybe, that's the word I have to use.
Yeah,
like,
but I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing either.
Yeah.
Because a lot of, I don't come from the early days of hip hop. I was born in the mid 80s. So, I wasn't there when everything started to kick off and evolved into what we have today. But, a lot of what you'll hear is that hip hop was a way to express, outcry against the establishment and the injustices in the political environment and, the economic disparities and all that. And that was a way to artistically express that, So that's not necessarily a bad thing. I want to address.
No, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing.
No. I'm saying they see it. They might see it that way.
People say, some people say it,
right. No, I know you get it. I know you get it. I'm just, for the people out there, because you asked me what do I want them to learn, that's what I want them to learn.
Okay.
You need to learn that radicalism bad. Radicalism bad. You did this.
Yeah. It's a way of expressing your feelings, right?
Exactly.
It's a way of expressing your feelings, and then if someone is out there doesn't understand you, they consider you different thing.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
And they might.
They might.
It's not bad
it's
too.
common thing out there.
Right.
I could remember one time I was playing Biggie.
Okay.
In my living room, and then I had a visitor.
Oh yeah.
And then I said, "Wow, James." And then I said, "What is wrong with that?"
What album was it? Do you remember what album?
I forgot the name of the song. I will remember and then let you know.
Okay.
So people see you, if they see you very quiet, someone who doesn't do so many, they see you as a quiet person, and then when they come and then find out that you're playing this kind of music, they feel like, oh my God, what is wrong with you? Or something like that. That's what I'm just trying to say.
Because they make a negative association.
Yeah, they make negative, impression about it, and if you understand, it's just like reggae, right? Anyone who doesn't understand reggae will associate it with bad intention. You get what I'm saying? Oh, this guy reggae. Oh, Rasta guy. You see? Oh, this guy is like this. Oh, this guy is like this. Even like back home, I remember when I was kid in Africa, if someone is playing music, reggae music, Bob Marley, our intention, this guy smoke weed.
Yup, exactly. That was my next thing.
This guy smoke weed.
Yep.
It's just like that.
So as soon as they hear the music,
that is what I was just trying to say. Because those who doesn't understand what you're talking about or doesn't understand your culture, they will dismiss it. They will look at it and say, you know what, look at what he's doing. That's what I was just trying to. Yeah. So
I want to get back to the Biggie thing real quick if I can, because you made a good point with that. Because we were talking about what we want people to learn. We want people to learn that hip hop is not a monolith. It's very multifaceted. It's very categorized. There are a lot of subcategories in it, and it's a very positive force. I mean, there's negativity in it, of course, just like there is in anything. But hip hop is a positive force, and it's needed. And you can learn a lot by listening to intelligent artists who have topics that they want to convey. So to not get too into the nitty gritty, that's in a nutshell what I would like people to learn from myself. Who is an artist that does try to convey that type of music that's informational but not, boring or doesn't beat you over the head. And other artists who fall into that category too. But just enjoy the art overall. You need balance.
Yeah.
The Biggie thing. You said something along the lines of, his being powerful with what he says and everything like that. It's funny that you said that because there was an artist, a non-hip-hop artist, who said, I read an article recently where she mentioned that she doesn't listen to a lot of rappers. And this is the irony in this, because that statement falls into the category of somebody who sees hip hop all as one thing. And she was explaining how she doesn't listen to a lot of rappers because they tend to just be very self-focused and braggadocious. But she said that she listens to Biggie. She likes to listen to Biggie Smalls because he's a good storyteller, right? Which I agree with, but Biggie was on Bad Boy Records. And Biggie was, known for wearing the Kojo sweaters and the Jesus piece and all that. So but the fact that didn't get mentioned just shows how selective some people might be in it. Not that it's a bad thing that Biggie did that, and that he did flaunt and sport the Kojo sweater really well, and possibly was the one that popularized that Kojo sweater look, right? Not that it's a bad thing that he did do that, but the fact that didn't get mentioned while she was demonizing the entire genre just goes to show you how selective some people can be when it comes to, what they see in a specific area of life, in this case being hip hop, right? Somebody looks at hip hop, they look at an artist like Biggie Smalls, they completely miss the fact or selectively ignore the fact that this is an artist, one of the biggest artists at the time on Bad Boy Records, wearing the gold Jesus piece with the chain and the Kojo and the Versace and all that other stuff, but was also a good storyteller. Both those things are true, right? But in missing that, she also simultaneously and with that missed the entire genre too and what it's about. Yeah.
Okay, folks, if you just join us, I'm interviewing Kojo Reed. He's a hip hop artist in the Twin Cities. If you want to check his videos, check Instagram
KPW Hip Hop.
Okay.
That's the same handle across social media platforms.
Okay.
Otherwise, KPWHipHop.com.
Yeah.
KPW on every streaming platform.
Okay, yeah, we will come back.
We'll come back. All right.
Yeah, all right. Hey, we're back, Kojo. Hey, folks, we are back. Kojo, as I told you, I love this guy. He's so talented. He's so good.
Appreciate
so if you want to check his some of his music, go to YouTube. There is one album called NORMALIZE, right?
NORMALIZE is the name of the single, but the album is called No Dogma.
Oh, okay.
This is one of, I believe, I want to say 5 vinyl records that I got made of this album.
Oh.
So what this is it's a signed copy that I specially made for one of 5 of which I made especially for people who entered a contest of sorts when I released the album back in 2022. But this is a vinyl copy of the album No Dogma, if I can get the focus on that, if that's happening. Track list on the back and vinyl record inside. But this is an album that I released in 2022. And it consists of, I want to say, 13 tracks.
Oh, wow.
There are only 12 on the record because, to be honest, the last song is very long. So that's going to be a standalone at some point in the future. But the main tracks are on this 2-sided record. 7 on the first side and 5 on the other side.
5 on the other side.
But on the streaming version, there's just a straight 13 songs.
So this you are not selling it, right? If someone needs some,
if somebody wants to order one, I can order.
They can. Oh, okay.
But to start off, I made 5 initially because I was running a promotion when people were pre-ordering the album and then getting it to them for free. But I do sell this on my website. If you go to the merch tab of KPWHipHop.com, this is my latest album. Now, I do have another project that I just finished, so that will be coming out within the next few months. But as of now, this is my 2022 album, No Dogma.
So this is 2022. Your next album will be...
It's going to come out within the next few months.
Oh, okay.
That's the plan.
That's the plan. You are working on it.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And I have to get it finalized, and that will be out hopefully within the next few months.
This is really amazing. So can you maybe mention some few tracks that you want people to know?
Absolutely. I just released a video for a song from No Dogma called "Normalize," and that video "Normalize."
Okay. Yeah, Normalize.
And that video dropped on the 30th of January, last Thursday. So we can go to that.
Oh, so it's new.
The video is new.
The video is brand new.
The song is not, but the video is brand new.
Oh, okay.
I put a lot of videos out off of this album, even though it is 3 years old, because that's one thing about being an artist. You don't necessarily have to follow the traditional rules. Usually people will, at least when I was growing up and what it has become, has been to have an album that you put a few videos out for, and then once it becomes considered old, you move on to the next thing. I mean, I believe in putting out videos because the song deserves a video, So even if an album is 3 years old and I'm working on, an album that's 2 albums newer, if I think that an old song needs a video, I'll still put out the video.
Oh, and then even those who haven't seen the video before will think it's
it'll be new to them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
wow.
I mean, I've gotten some good feedback on the Normalize video so far, so it remains to be seen what comes of it.
So and then how much is it? If someone want to order?
The vinyl is $50.
Oh.
The vinyl
I mean,
$50.
it's not expensive though.
It's $50 because what we have to understand as artists is that we have to place a value on what we do. We can't be scared to do that. Nobody is forcing anybody to buy anything, but that price is really for the people who are ecstatic about being artists, ecstatic about being fans. And it could be the case for some artists too who also support other artists, but putting a value on our work, considering the amount of time that we put into it, the pride that we take in it, the passion that we have for what we do and how we contribute to it, all is factored into those prices. So, I mean, you could argue that you can't put a value on, a dollar value on art because it's a priceless thing. But at the same time, the monetary value, if one were to be put on it, is a heavy monetary value, at least a relatively heavy monetary value.
And you said vinyl. What does it mean? Does it mean that you have one that is more superior than this, or what does it mean?
It's a 12-inch record. But when we say vinyl, that's what we mean, just a vinyl record. But you can get, I don't make CDs, but if you want to listen to it on streaming, then you can just stream via Apple Music or even YouTube. If you want to listen to the tracks that way, they're available on YouTube Music too, or any other digital streaming platform.
So if someone is outside the United States and they're like maybe watching this show and then wanted to order, do you ship to everywhere?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, what I was doing when I first started the hoodies, I actually got quite a few international orders of them.
I mean, the hoodies was really good. I don't know why.
So
I don't know why you discontinued. You could have sold
No, I didn't discontinue them. It's just that as I got busier and busier, I stopped making them. I stopped designing them as much. So I stopped creating new designs as much. But no, they're still available for sale. So if you go to the merch tab, I don't have as many anymore.
Yeah,
just because of the fact that I saw that a lot of people would kind of get decision paralysis because they tell me, they give me the feedback that there were so many of them they couldn't decide which ones that they wanted, that type of thing. So what I did was I narrowed it down.
Oh yeah, people concern was just one kind.
They just couldn't choose. They liked them, but they couldn't choose which ones they wanted, and among other reasons, just because I wanted to have a little bit less to maintain. So now I just picked the standard design. So I have that as an option, and I have a couple of other themes that are a little bit more simple in nature that people can choose from.
Oh, Wow.
Now, it's not to say that some of the other ones won't come back. I mean, I would have to take a poll to see what some people's favorites were.
Yeah, because I think
determine
that Black and Gold, and then there was one that is black.
Okay.
Black. I think, did I order two? I don't remember.
I only remember the one.
I think one, right.
It had the gold square and the black silhouette of my head.
I think the one I ordered, yeah. I think I did order that one.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't even remember what year that was. That 2020?
That was about 2020 or 2021.
Just during the pandemic, for sure.
Yeah, pandemic.
Yeah.
That was. I remember that T-shirt was. I used to wear it. I used to wear it. A lot of people keep on asking me so many questions. Who is this guy? I mean, the design looks really amazing.
Yeah,
the design
I appreciate that.
Looks really, really amazing.
Yeah, that's a merch line that I call Pro Signature, mainly because of the fact that the pro part of the name comes from my profile on the shirt. And then the signature, obviously, to indicate the signature on the back, but then it doubles up to mean that's my professional signature.
Yeah,
because the KPW is my profession, falls under my profession as a hip hop artist, and so that's my pro signature. And then somebody else, I was on a podcast of talking to some of my guys from the Twin Cities, Dog Star. And then they said a third interpretation could be that the profile is the signature. So that
yeah. I mean, the signature looks really good though. Nice. It's that T-shirt. I don't know. I keep on talking about it and say, "Wow, this is really."
They're available for order. They are available for order. So again, on the merch.
So folks, if you want to order the T-shirt, try to order some. Make sure that we support our brother. Because if someone is doing something, we need to support. We need to make sure we support our family. We support our brothers for them to excel. Because if you support them and they are successful, it comes to the community, right? Yeah. So if you're watching and you want to support, just feel free to order some of his T-shirts and visit his website.
Yes.
Visit his
hip-hop.com.
Yeah, visit his website and then check. There are so many things over there. So many musics out there that you can enjoy. I want to ask you one question that everybody want to know. That you started at the age of 16,
correct?
Right. That was then, and now. So, tell us the difference between then and now. Then, I think the technology was different, right?
Oh, yes, it was.
And then now,
oh, 100%.
and then now, yeah. So the technology then and now, how is it? What is the difference? And then
yeah. When I started, I had absolutely no professional equipment. So you picture what was even the brand of laptop? A compact laptop.
Yeah,
that. It was like the bottom of it was like that.
Like this one, yeah.
Probably heavier than that monitor over there. And was a laptop the first thing I recorded on? It might have even been a computer tower. But the microphone was one of those $10 to $20 microphones from Best Buy. It was light gray, and you plugged it directly into the headphone jack, and then you just started rapping. And what I would do was, I didn't have one of these, so I got a hanger. And a stocking cap made out of this material, and put it around the hanger, and that was my filter.
Wow!
And so I would record. Now, the ironic thing about this is you asked the difference between then and now. I would record into a program called Cool Edit, and Cool Edit was a very basic program that funny story for those who are in that community. They all share the common experience of using a username and serial number that belonged to a guy called Peter Quistgaard.
Peter Quistgaard.
Peter Quistgaard. Yeah. So everybody who got a copy of Cool Edit, their serial name and their serial number and username is Peter Quistgaard, and it works. And he's, from what I understand, a very happy camper about it. So we'll just leave it at that. But Cool Edit was the program I was recording into, and that's what got me started off with making songs, learning how to sequence, instrumentals once I started to make beats, chopping up samples from songs that, I would sample to make said beats, and then using that in conjunction with a different program called Fruity Loops to make those beats, which is known as FL Studio now. But we're talking, what I'm referring to right now is kind of in a nutshell from ranging from 2000 to 2005. So really started off
2000 to 2005.
2005, yeah. So really
that was
started off
about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
exactly
long.
20 years ago. Yeah. So
Wow.
I started rapping in 2000. Really the basis of, getting the songs down, learning how to write and all that, and understanding how to do it in a fashion that would fit to a beat. It really started off without having any music to record to. And for the first time, I recorded on my brother's setup when I went home for the summer in Virginia. When I went to Virginia for the summer, later that school year. And because he was a DJ, he had a lot of vinyl records that would have instrumentals on them. So we were recording to that program. And then over the years, I just built up my knowledge base in that, learned different things about it. And then in 2005, that was when I learned to make beats. And so there was even a point where I started to divert the interest from rapping and thought along the lines of, I'm just gonna make beats because maybe this is more lucrative, this is more interesting, whatever. But then it all comes full circle. So because of that, years later, I came back around, got interested in writing again, joined the two together, and didn't look back ever since. So we're talking probably 2010 was the time that I started writing again and slowly building back up. And it was almost like having the same experience from when I first started, because when I started getting interested in rapping again, I was doing the same thing. I was writing without necessarily having any instrumentals, not having had a proper setup at the time. And even yet and still, I still had never really had necessarily professional equipment. I was still kind of maneuvering my way around equipment throughout all those years. But
do you have to use specific equipment?
You want to use more professional equipment. I mean, you don't want to be using a computer mic that plugs directly into the computer. You do want to have a setup that has a proper, what they call, vocal chain. You'll have an interface similar to this one that the microphone properly plugs into, that separates the hardware, from each other. So you'll have that mic goes into that, and then that goes into the computer, and then you record into your program. So I eventually built up to that. So we're talking from 2010 to 2011, 2012, 13, 14, and then finally 2015 comes. That's when I actually start working on a self-produced project that I put out for people to actually hear on a wider scale. That was the first time I collaborated with somebody who was known in the Twin Cities. He's passed away, rest in peace, since then. But at that point, I was really finally immersed in being, official with the process in terms of using the proper equipment, having the ability to put the music out on streaming platforms, getting stuff onto YouTube, et cetera, and being able to access the market, as they say.
So you feel like then was a little bit harder than now, right?
100%. And I mean, I think even then it was easier for anybody who wanted to wanted badly enough to figure out ways to put music out because we could still upload music onto certain sites. YouTube, when I started, YouTube wasn't around, right?
Oh, when YouTube wasn't around then.
YouTube didn't come about until 2005.
Oh.
But in 2000, there were still websites that you could upload your songs to and download beats from, right? So I remember one site called mp3.com.
MP3, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
That's very basic, but mp3.com, you know, there were a bunch of different communities on there as far as types of musicians, and that was really the kind of height of the message board days. Right now, forums were around back then too, but now, you know, we have the Reddits and the Quoras and all that. It was basically a music site, Reddit, basically, right? To where you could go up there, you could post messages on a message board. There were communities and, you know, threads and subthreads and that type of thing, but it was all based around music. And it was essentially a music sharing site, somewhat like an audio version of YouTube.
Yeah, but I think at that time, actually, because we didn't have internet a lot, some of the music were in, was it cassette or
CD?
CD
at the
CD,
time.
that was 20 years ago, right?
This, what I'm referring to, is 23, 24 years ago.
23.
I mean, we still had the ability to download stuff and burn it, because that was when CD burning was big too.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, if you bought a computer, that was probably around the time they just started putting CD burners on computers. So when I was a teenager, it was considered somewhat of a luxury if you had a CD burner, to where, you know, if you downloaded a song legally or illegally, you would plug your CD burner into the computer, and then you can
duplicate it, copy it,
or you could just put random songs on a CD. So, you know, back in those days when my friends and I would make these songs, we download them and then we burn them onto a CD. So we had that method too. But, you know, you might not have necessarily had fast internet. So if I made a song and I wanted to upload it to mp3.com, it would take like an hour and a half to upload one song. Or if I wanted to download a beat, it would take 2 hours to download the beat. Yeah, exactly. And my mom picked up the phone and then I have to start over again.
Wow. And then now things are so easy, you know.
My God.
Technology keeps, you know, I mean, it's really amazing.
It's important to keep up with it too.
Oh, yeah. So, another thing is sometimes you have to love what you do. You have to value it. You have to make sure that what you're doing is what you like. You know.
Definitely.
So my next question is, how do you incorporate your value into the music you make all the time?
Well, I was telling some other friends of mine a couple of years ago that I was raised on values and morals, and you know the way that you know the culture that I am influenced by, or at least that I was trained in, brought up in. And although certain things might, you know, living in an American culture and being the product of an American society and all that, you might not necessarily agree with everything that you were raised with, but you know, you draw the value from the things that you do find useful, and you do appreciate them, and you do treasure them, right? And so what that's done for me is it's made me a very principled individual, to where there's certain things that I stand on, and there's certain things that I just will never do because of integrity, values, no matter how it looks to anybody, or no matter who doesn't like it. I mean, the right thing is the right thing, right? Your integrity, your morals, your dignity is
very, very important.
It's important. So I incorporate that into the music by talking about my experiences, by talking about my viewpoints on certain things, by not pretending to be somebody that I'm not. You know, when I was growing up, rap was, you know, it's funny, it comes full circle with what you said about the perception that people might get of what hip hop is or is supposed to be. There was almost this expectation that if you were somebody who was a hip hop artist, you had to come from a certain environment and you had to portray a certain image. You know, I didn't grow up poor, and so somebody who came from a similar background, who didn't grow up poor, you know, didn't grow up rich either, but somebody who didn't necessarily grow up poor might have felt the pressure to act like they did, or they might have felt the pressure to act as if they were a gangster and they weren't, right? That's not my image, you know, and that's not, you know, that would be doing me and whoever would listen to my music a huge disservice, because you can almost tell that the person is not being authentic. It's like what you said earlier, and I wanted to address that too, because I had the same conversation with somebody about that, with how when somebody is performing, you can tell that they're passionate about what they're talking about. You can tell that they, you know, they believe what they're saying. That wouldn't be the case if I ignored my values, right, and portrayed something that I wasn't. And I say that because you do have grown men who feel that they need to live up to an image, older than I am, who feel that they need to live up to an image that they don't really come from, that they don't really represent, right? That pressure in hip hop is not really needed anymore, because we've broadened the scope so much to the point where certain artists have paved the way for that, I don't know if you would call it alternate image, but that non-traditional gangster rap or stereotypical image that need to be portrayed. But to do so, you know, to not fall into who you authentically are and represent who you authentically are and try to portray something else, that would be a violation and a disrespect to my values. So I think that's the best way I can answer that question. It's just being as authentic as I can about, you know, who I am, you know, what I come from, not being ashamed of why would you be, but not hiding the fact that I don't necessarily come from poverty. I don't come from, you know, a street upbringing to where I had to, you know, go outside and hustle and watch out for cats trying to stick me up and, you know, carry a gun everywhere I went. I didn't have to do that. I mean, I know how to use a gun, sure, but that doesn't mean that I had one on me when I was 12 years old. You know, there's a lot more room for transparency now in hip hop, and I think that there's no excuse not to be authentic, and that's what I try to live up to.
Wow. That's very deep.
Yeah, it's
so do you have specific in your music, do you have specific message that, you know, you send out there, you know, through your music?
One thing that I used to do, and this is, I'm glad you asked that, because this is actually another answer to the previous question of how is it different now. You know, the music that I started making at a certain point would probably be categorized as somewhat preachy, you know, like do this, you know, don't engage in that, get your act together, that type of thing, you know. And that can get old after a while to listen to. You know, people don't want to feel as if they are being talked at or talked down to. You know, this kind of goes back to what we were talking about I think last week when we were talking about gotta be careful here, politics, and how, you know, certain people in media, right? Certain people in certain parties talk in a way that they're talking at black people.
Black people.
We want to know that our politicians are addressing our concerns. But when in return, all we get is a bunch of, you know, y'all are stupid and y'all don't read, you stupid fools, and this, that, and the third. I'm not saying anybody's name. But, you know, there are people who do that. And when you're constantly getting a finger wagged at you, you're going to tune out.
Yeah.
It's no different from music that has a message in it, but doesn't convey it in a way that the listener can embrace it. The listener is going to want to feel that they can relate to that artist, right? They're gonna want to feel that they can enjoy the music, but at the same time relate to the message that the artist is conveying by, maybe talking about their experience and allowing the listener to come to the realization that, oh, I know what he means because he's the same age as me, and that year I was also posting pictures of, all the different rappers from XXL magazine on my wall, and I was also printing out lyrics and posting them on the wall, as opposed to hearing somebody say, stop smoking weed, that's bad, go to school and put the alcohol down, that there's room for that. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to hear that 24/7.
Yeah.
And I don't smoke weed and I don't drink a lot.
I mean, but you don't want someone to lecture you
constantly
lecture you all the
right.
time.
So to answer that question, I mean, the music has evolved from that to now speaking about my perspectives on certain things. For example, No Dogma, right? There's still a message in an album like that, just as there was with the stuff that I was making that would be considered preachy. No Dogma, the concept of it is one in which I talk about and really try to encourage the listener to follow a path that they think that even though it's non-traditional and unconventional, they can be successful at. Because, especially coming from backgrounds like ours, oftentimes what do we hear our parents say that we should do?
We should respect, we should...
There's nothing wrong with that. What I mean as far as career paths, for example, be a doctor.
Yeah, even I was going to ask you, so when you started this, did you have any backlash?
Well, not really.
Didn't say anything,
because
your background, you are not someone who,
at a certain point it came up
into this kind of,
at a certain point it did come up, but it was never, I don't think that the conversation, as far as any friction, ever lasted long enough to really even be noteworthy. I mean, and I think the reason for that is because I never wanted to do this as a primary thing to where the only thing you're going to think about me is, oh, KPW, he's a rapper. No, I mean, I'm multifaceted. I have a master's degree, which half the time I forget I have, and that doesn't say anything for the value of human being I am, but at the same time, I have an education to fall back on. I have some entrepreneurial skills, but I have things. I'm a multifaceted person. You know that I run my small business furniture business on the side, which is taking a little toll on my back. But the point is, I think that they knew, because of the fact that they knew that I wasn't gonna go and just drop everything and bet everything with no backup plan on music. That never bothered them. I mean, there've been a couple of times when I was a kid, they'd find lyrics of mine and get a little concerned, and I just have to explain that I'm just making songs. It was never anything that was blown out.
I mean, probably your parents understand you. Yeah. Sometimes you have to follow your passion,
right?
It's not like you have to do something. Sometimes I tell people, I said, do what you like best, right?
Right.
Because that is what will make you who you are.
Right.
You don't want to just mimic somebody. Exactly. You don't want to you are not an accountant because maybe your parents want you to be an accountant, then you have to, and then
exactly.
So,
and that's exactly what this is about too. It's about the fact that you can follow a non-traditional path as opposed to the dogmatic thinking of society, and not just people from say Ghanaian or African culture, right? But society in general. You get trained to be compliant. School teaches you to be compliant. It doesn't teach you to be creative, think outside the box, and go out and carve your own path and be surpass the level of success that they claim that you'll have if you go to school, get a degree, get into thousands, tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt, go work for a job for a portion of that, and then have kids, get a wife, have kids.
Get American dream.
The American dream, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
The white picket fence.
Yeah.
Contribute however much to the 401k, and then die. And then your kids repeat the cycle and have nothing to show for what they do throughout their entire lives. That path doesn't have to be followed. And we now live in a landscape where, yes, life in America is hard. It's expensive. More expensive than ever, obviously. I mean, look at the era we're in right now in 2025. But the point is, the access is so much more abundant than it was even when I was growing up. And that's still considered modern day, right? It's more abundant than it was when my brother's generation was growing up, Generation X. It's more abundant than it was when my parents were growing up. So there's no reason to continue to follow the same path that people have proven time and time and time again, for the most part, do not work. Unless if they're going into some super specialized field where they're guaranteed a very successful career when they get out of school. Look at how many people are going to college for however many years, getting into student loan debt, and then coming out, getting a job that they hate because they have to pay the bills, because they have to pay those student loans, and really not seeing any purpose behind what they're doing. There's no reason to do that.
Yeah, last time I was talking to somebody, and then actually I was just trying to advise him and said, you have to follow your passion. You don't need to just look at someone maybe doing certain kind of business, you don't know how to do it, and because there is money in it, you just go and follow. Just follow your passion. Anything you know how to do. Let's say if you know how to bottle this water, right? And you think you know it well. Focus your mind on it, right? And you'll be successful. You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You'll be successful.
Absolutely.
Some people might not see it as a viable business.
Yeah.
But think
Some
about
of those
it.
things you never think about.
Yeah. Think about it. If you do, and then maybe 1 million people order it, you're millionaire already.
It's
you
like
get what I'm
that.
saying?
Yeah, it's like that quote about the California gold rush. They say that all those people are going out and trying to find gold, so somebody has to make the shovels. Right? It's one of those things that you don't think about, but it's an everyday necessity.
Yeah.
So it's important. It's important to follow your passion,
dream,
do what you're good at, and realize too that I think that a lot of the time when we look around and we see people, I've been seeing what you've been doing for the past, how long have we known each other? 18 years.
18 years.
Yeah, 2007.
That was long ago.
But, I've been seeing you on your path for that entire period of time.
Yeah, when I started, I know some people told me to stop. Even when I started.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Some people started telling me, this is not good for you. You have to go and find a job.
And what was the common thing that you noticed about those people?
The same thing.
Just
going to work and
didn't follow their dreams.
Yeah, have to follow their dreams and all sort of things. And sometimes it doesn't. You have to follow. You see, success is not something like it comes just overnight. Right. You have to work on it. Sometimes you do things and fail, and you have to start again and do, and then try and error. And then one day, boom, something picks up, and then
That's the
so
thing.
anything that you are doing, to me, you have to focus your mind on it and do. There are some things sometimes our parents will advise. Yes, of course. If you think about it, and they are older than us, they know much more better. But if their advice, you take and compare. If it works for you, then you take it. But you feel it doesn't, work for you, and you believe in what you're doing, just focus your mind on it.
Yeah, it's funny because I think everybody who I've either listened to in the category of, I listen to a lot of finance podcasts, business owners and, entrepreneurial based podcasts and whatnot, because, or at least YouTube channels. Everything's not a podcast anymore, I suppose, but I try to do that to stay, positive about, carving out my own path and not, obviously also because you don't want to just consume nonsense on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
I try to block out nonsense as much as possible, but that's one of those common things that you hear is that you have to put in the repetitions. You have to keep doing it and stay consistent, even though it might feel like nothing's happening.
Yeah, I mean, even now, there's that internet. Anything you do on the internet, stay there forever.
Yeah.
So anything that you're doing, you have to believe in it, and then you make sure that you do the right thing.
Yeah.
Because
it can be taken one or two ways. I mean, anybody can take anything from the internet and use it for negativity, or they can draw from it something positive. I mean, I can just go like this, and somebody can screen capture that, and then turn me into a rocket ship, and then I'm going up with fire behind me. I mean, people will do anything. So, I mean, I think that the impact that you leave with what you're actually doing is important too. And people will do what they will with it, but if the intent is positive, then the outcome is going to be the outcome.
Kojo, thank you so much for coming.
Appreciate it. Thank you. This was a good conversation.
I really appreciate you. I really appreciate spending time with me here.
Absolutely.
And then I think we need to set up another date.
Well, we will. When the new music is getting done, I actually just talked to somebody about helping finalize the next project. So I'll definitely have a lot to talk about there. But I mean, other than that, it doesn't even have to just be music. I mean, it could be other topics. I mean, I know we want to be careful with politics.
Yeah, no.
And I'm not a
politics. I don't like politics.
I'm not a political buff.
Politics is not something. Okay, folks, we are ending here, and then I do believe all of you have seen a lot, all of you have heard a lot, and there is something that you can take, you can incorporate it into your life. If you have anything in mind, or if you have some kind of passion, just put all your trust in it and then do it. Kojo started his music career at the age of 16, and then now he's doing very well. So I want all of you to take this. If you are young out there and then starting something, just focus your mind on it and then do it. Do it really well. And then I do believe you will be much more successful. Thank you so much. Watch our videos on YouTube, Facebook, and then even Kojo is on Instagram all the time.
I try not to be on there all the time, but that's right.
Your videos on the internet.
I don't like to scroll too much, so I try to stay off. But that's where you can find most of my content.
Find most of your content.
YouTube for the videos. Though.
YouTube. I mean, if anybody is going on YouTube, they are searching your videos anyway. And then Instagram, your music.
KPW Hip Hop on
KPW Hip Hop
on Instagram and all other social media, and YouTube as well.
Okay.
Streaming platforms, KPW.
Okay. So thank you so much. We will end here, and then we will start. Maybe we will have another conversation again. But forward this podcast to all your friends. Let us make it big. If you have any idea, any business, anything that you want us to talk about, feel free to come over, call, and then we can come to your office to talk to you about, to interview you, and then have really nice conversation.
Absolutely.
If you live in the Twin Cities and then have any business, you have any product to sell, check out our website called yodo.com, goodyear.com, and rackmat.com too. Download all these apps and then let us make it big. Okay, thank you.
Let's do it.
Yep.
Appreciate y'all.
Bye.
Oh, man. Thank you, man. That was good.
Yeah.
Compromise the power, sacrifice College life, occupation, spouse, kids, and stress, only to expect the praise with death. Daily basis grind begins, the goal's to win. A statement mad obvious is stated. They underrate and make us underestimate us, doubt ourselves and strive for status. Quo and feed division, the quotient feast the living. Most these bozos don't know you. Stories will never grow and see you grow and say they clone you. As if a man can't face adversity, make the changes needed, swerve the dirt and turn within his world to serve his purpose. Some prefer we worsen circumstances that stand between us, opposed to conclude a feud at the close of a verses. But we in tune with our new improvements, part and parcel, a daily basis grind without a normalize. They judge you, place all above you, and wait for you to die before they love you. They judge you, place all above you, and wait for you to die before they love you. They tell us compromise the power, sacrifice the hours, disregard the disrespect and don't demand the flowers. College life, occupation, spouse, kids, and stress, only to expect the praise with death. Daily basis grind is what's undoubtedly highly doubted. Tradition claim you won't succeed and swears we ain't about shit. Best believe that this is a synonym for the likes of us, and one who looks similar then doubt will swear success is not about this. Best believe we best succeed, and once we reach our peak or reach the point we deemed this succeeded, the same who doubt will mouth this. Sing a rhyme along the very same words and make this song their anthem. Refrain from saying damn them, forgive them for they know not what they do. Give them several minutes of the fame to hook up and lose smoothly. But we in tune with our new improvements, part and parcel of the daily basis grind without a normalize. They judge you, place all above you, and wait for you to die before they love you. They judge you, place all